let's kick things off. We're about 5 minutes in now. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is a very dope DeFi options chat with Dopex. A long time coming. Both been building in the space for a really long time, so super excited to finally be joining forces for our spaces. Tima, is anyone else joining you from your side?
It'll be just me for this time.
Cool. Well, welcome. You want to give a brief intro? I know you're a bit newer face to the Dopex side of things, and just maybe a quick spiel on Dopex for those that don't know what Dopex is.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually been with Dopex for like a year and a half now, maybe a bit
Oh
more.
wow.
Yeah, so I've been working on the back end. I started with just doing content and stuff for Dopex, and I transitioned to the lead BDer, if you wish. And yeah, like what we're doing at Dopex is basically options, right? Like what a lot of us are trying to do, bringing it on chain, and yeah, like we're basically confronting whatever constraint there is through with the options that aren't on chain, which is liquidity issues and stuff like that. And we have like pretty cool concepts that we're working around, and yeah, like I'm pretty sure that we're pretty close. There's a lot of gigabrains working on making on chain options the next thing, right? And I'm pretty sure at one point one of us will figure it out, and hopefully when we do, the retail is going to flow, is going to start, the volumes are going to start flowing in, and understanding how this product, the option tools that can be used through for financial. Basically, these are financial tools, right? And you can use these to make more speculative bets, or maybe even leverage, or just hedge on whatever type of investment you're doing, right? So it's a tool for any type of users that want to have a more concentrated type of strategy, right?
Yeah. And you guys are taking a pretty unique approach. You have the single-sided options vaults. You've got the zero DTE Atlantic options. A lot of stuff that are kind of like very unique. We'll say tools in the tool belt. Can you take me through kind of like the evolution of like the Dopex ecosystem and how you guys have kind of grown from just SSOVs into the product suite that you offer now?
Yeah, sure. By the way, I'll also like to hear Premia. What are you guys building with V3, right? Like I've been hearing V3 like throughout the CT and everything. So definitely like to learn more on that part. So us on our part, what we're doing is that we launched with SSOVs about 2 years ago, I would say. And SSOVs was our initial product, which was like a pretty simple vanilla options where you could purchase puts or purchase call options, and these would be covered call options or covered puts. And on the other side, you had the liquidity providers that just deposited the liquidity for these options to sell, right? And from there we transitioned into a lot more broad type of products. So we did a bit of straddles, like structured products. We had zero date options that just launched a month or two ago, and recently our scalps V2. So yeah, like we're super excited for all these products. I would say for me to go over every single product, for sure it'll take a bit of time. Maybe I'll just like skim through them fast. But yeah, like for example, our most recent product, which I'm super excited about, is the Scalps V2. And Scalps V2, what's cool about it is that it can scale with volume. So as there's more volume, and it becomes actually cheaper because the LPs get more compensated as volume flows through those, right? And what Scalps are, they're essentially these very, very short term options. So you could have these, for example, 1 minute up to 240-minute options, and these can be leveraged up to 110x. So they basically fill the need or not the need, but the hunger of all the degens out there, right? So you can actually go 110x on a certain asset. For example, right now we have Ethereum or Arbitrum, and you can either long or short these assets. And what's cool about it is that yes, there's for example all these perpetual protocols that you can long and short as well, with a funding fee, and these funding fees accrue as the your position stays open, right? But with the scalps, you actually pay a one-time fee, but this one-time fee makes it that your position is basically timed, right? So let's say you purchase a 60-minute option. This long position is going to be open for 60 minutes. And why is it cool? Is because we actually have better rates than these perpetuals. And if you actually are only doing, for example, when you open a position on GMX and you know that your position, you're only opening this position for a few minutes, you would actually be better off just coming on scalps and opening that position on the Dopex platform, and it would cost you less because these positions, because they're not funding, they're basically timed. You can actually have have actually better rates than you would on these perpetual platforms, because you're limiting yourself, right? So on the LP side, they're risking less because they know that you can't like just open a position and just keep it open for infinitely until they become positive, or I don't know, until they become in the money or whatever. But on our end, since they're timed, we can create a lot more volume, and when that creates a lot more volume, they're more beneficial for the LPs. So the LPs make more yield, and as they make more yield, we can actually adjust that and make it more beneficial for the traders as well, right? So that's what I mean when I say basically that it scales with volume, right? And we're looking in partner maybe with even a DEX, because we're gonna basically have a lot of flow through them, through the volumes because these positions are actually on Uni V3 positions. So we set the liquidity in one tick positions, and and yeah, like on a high level, basically the LPs are unexposed to the trader's P&L. So what happens is that for somebody that wants to understand the backend, let's say you deposit USDC would be used only for longs. And for example, you deposit ETH or ARBs, ARB tokens, you basically are only providing liquidity for the shorts. So what happens on the backend is that we take that collateral, so let's say the USDC, and we deposit it inside a one tick liquidity inside UniV3, right? And what happens, this is when you do limit orders. So let's say you want to open a position at 1900 and Ethereum is at 1920. When it drops below 1900, you get filled. So your liquidity swaps, or the USDC gets swapped into ETH. We withdraw that liquidity. Now, essentially, you're holding ETH for the trader. You're long, and for the and you deposit a margin, and for the LP, you're unexposed because the margin covers the loss. And if basically they get liquidated, you just get back your collateral plus the yield or the margin, we say, and the premium that they paid, right? So essentially, for the LP, it's like really cool because you can just deposit like single stake Ethereum, single stake USDC, single stake ARB, and you earn yield or premiums without being exposed to the trader's P&L. So it's basically just yield on top of it, right? So yeah, it's a very cool model. I'm super excited for it. We're gonna have a competition, so a little plug out. I'm just giving a little plug.
Yeah,
So
plug it.
yeah, I'll plug it. So we're doing a little competition. There's some prizes. So if you come on Dopex, you just start trading. The best PNL is gonna get after I think it's like a week tournament. I'm not sure, but you can look at the Dopex Discord to get more informed. But yeah, the better the guys with the best PNL are going to get a prize, and the guys with the most volume are going to get a prize. So yeah, it's a cool feature, and hope to see a lot of DGens out there come and try it out.
Love it. So this is for the Scalps V2?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Cool. Just wanted to clarify that because I know I was asking about zero DTE stuff and the Scalps. So just
Yeah,
wanted to clarify for the audience.
yeah, we do
And yeah,
have a
so
lot of
this,
products. We're just trying out stuff, right? But I
yeah.
mean, but yeah, what about you guys? What's happening on your end?
Yeah. For those of you from the Dopex community, over at Premia, we're gearing up to launch Premia Blue or V3. That's the next version of our options AMM. Right now, there's a trading competition as well going on. Just it started a week ago, but just because it started a week ago, don't be discouraged. There's prizes for everyone. We have a cool gamified experience where you can come on, earn kind of XP for completing different actions, such as providing liquidity, purchasing options. There's social quests, and then you can go and claim different prizes that we have for the competition. Now, what Premia Blue is, Premia V2, we had a pool to peer model where you provide liquidity to the pools. They're single sided, much like Dopex with single-sided option vaults. Provide a single asset, and you're either underwriting calls or you're underwriting puts. In V2, you underwrite the full book of risk in those pools. So anyone who purchases an option can use your liquidity as an underwriter to underwrite any option up to 90 days out. In V3, how we change that is we're introducing concentrated or range order liquidity, permissionless pooling. There will be a vault layer, an RFQ network, and then margin. So with at the base layer exchange, underwriters can come in and choose specific ranges, or to kind of simplify it a bit, in V2, you underwrite anything. In V3, you will underwrite something specific at the base layer. So you can say, I only want to underwrite options between, what's the price now? We'll say 1880 and 1950 between today and 2 weeks from now. And you have the ability to do that. We're introducing permissionless pooling. So as long as an asset has a spot market that exists and an oracle, you can create an options market for that. So we'll enable those at the base layer. And then there will be a margin layer and the vault layer. And the vault layer essentially will take the V2 product that you know or that you've heard of, and we'll take that and turn that into a vault to make an easy migration for some of our LPs there and to give people an experience that they're used to. But then there will be other strategy vaults that come out as well. We have some of the guys in the audience that may want to come up and talk about the vaults they're working on, but you'll see some vaults that come out outside of our underwriter vault that are specific to strategies, like maybe a condor or an arbitrage vault that will come out to exist.
So just to like clarify, like just to make sure I understood the whole V3 concept. So basically now you can choose like from what range to what range you can write these options, right? And my question would be like, let's say I choose like from 1880 to 1950. Does that mean that a buyer can just come in and say, I want to purchase at this specific strike, for example, on 1929 or something like that?
Yeah, and your capital could be used to underwrite those options. So the thing about V3 is there will kind of be competing avenues for pricing, right? There will be the vault layer where users who are just depositing into the underwriter vault, similar to like V2, that liquidity will be used to underwrite options from the AMM. There will be the underwriters who are underwriting within those ranges at the base layer, where their liquidity could also be used to underwrite those options. And then you'll have the RFQ network where people can submit orders off-chain in this hybrid on-chain, off-chain model that we'll have, and which will also compete. So we're hoping that those three kind of price avenues will help converge to provide the best pricing available on that platform.
Okay, so you guys are doing your own price discovery through like all of these three models, right?
Yeah, there'll be
okay.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be price discovery through those three models, but also within each of them you can kind of think of, because you'll have underwriters that are kind of competing in their own like avenue to provide the best pricing there, and then the vault layer that is kind of giving you like the market price or what the supply and demand of that market is trying to offer.
Which would be fetched from, for example, other venues, or
that would be through the liquidity available through purchasing and selling on the platform. So very similar to like Uniswap's X times YK.
Understood. And so how does a settlement work? Like for example, like can I choose like since there's lock for 90 days? Does that mean I can choose like a 90-day option, like I can choose like 30-day option, or?
Yeah, currently in the current model, it's out 90 days, but in V3, you can write up to a year out. So expiration is you can shoot. There will be set dates. I believe it's like, every Friday, and then like quarterlies, monthlies, quarterlies, and there are a few other ones. But yeah, pretty much every Friday, and then a few other dates that will be available.
Oh, cool. Okay, so basically, you guys are opening a lot more of composability for the buyer and the LP side, right? So right now, I guess I'm with V2, you're limited, but with V3, you'll be able to say, okay, I want to purchase this option this far out and at this specific price if the liquidity is there, right? And depending on how the LPs distributed. So you guys have a pretty big order book type model in a way, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Hybrid AMM order book. Like there'll be an order book that people can go to and they could choose specific options, or they have the option, no pun intended, to use the AMM to provide them the best option for the parameters set.
Awesome. And yeah, maybe we could discuss like what are you guys doing to bring more users on your platform? Like what is your go-to strategy for teaching retail about options, like maybe just informing what are options? And I know you guys, I saw you guys have what's it called, an academy, right? And is there other things you guys do to inform like the average user on how options work and stuff like that?
No, it's a great question. I think we both have stuff to highlight here because I know you guys just dropped a video series, which is really, really cool. So yeah, we put out the academy. That's kind of our intro to options courses and strategies that we're trying to push out to help demystify options to retail and to just like the average crypto user. Like there are some users that are between like retail and pro-tail that probably just don't know a lot about options, but they're great in spot and perp markets. So the idea was, or the thought was that a lot of people are intimidated by options because of the language, the jargon, and the data that's used in a lot of the conversations and that's presented on platforms. But they're really not that difficult topics. So if we demystify that and we start teaching people, what the Greeks are and what implied volatility is and why that's important, how that works in an easily digestible way, then it will allow more people to use options. Because right now, like you see that perp protocols have, tons of users have kind of had their renaissance in DeFi. And options almost did last cycle, but it didn't quite get there. And I still think that it will, because in my opinion, it's the one TradFi tool that hasn't kind of had its renaissance in DeFi yet. So with the Academy, we're trying to demystify that by breaking down a glossary of terms that are used, giving people exams and courses to take, and incentivizing that. So we've kind of gamified that to where you can earn those XP and credits. And we hope to, after the competition, extend that to create this kind of gamified experience to make people want to learn more and want to keep coming back. Other than that, we've been trying to just push out as much content as we can on other platforms, like getting on spaces like this and talking with other protocols, getting on podcasts, getting on live streams, and talking about options and breaking down kind of not just how Premia works, but what options are and how they work. Something we just talked about on like the BlockByte show is like, we purposefully made the Academy platform agnostic because, Heiko has said this before. We've talked about it. Like, we don't think that we're at battle with like the other options protocols that are building in the space. Like, the pie is still so small that it's like we just want to get users into DeFi options, and our like real competitor is Deribit, and it's like we're all building different bespoke products, and we're building them in different ways, and we're attacking pricing in different ways. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to be doing it. We're all just doing it differently. And until we've really kind of captured and taken like a large chunk of the volume from TradFi, I don't think like competition really matters, right? Like it's more about just getting people to use DeFi products and getting people to trade DeFi options. So we've really just been trying to hit hard on like basic education and getting people's feet wet with, what options are and how you can use those to not just take on like additional leverage, but how you can use them as like a hedging product or insurance.
Yeah, 100%. And this is exactly why we're doing, like, I would say the space, right? Like, the pie is like so big, and there's so much like to go for. And if you think about it, like perpetuals, for example, right? Before GMX, before that picked up, like there was like little to no volume in, like in other perpetuals for like I think there was like a DYDX that had some, but now that GMX picked up, then like everything followed. Right now there's like a GNS. I mean GNS was there before. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying like one props up pretty much the whole wave, right? So I think at one point there's one protocol that's gonna pretty much pick up this narrative of like the options, on-chain options, and is gonna bring like that volume that we've been seeing in TradFi, that's been options have been accruing, right? And it's just a matter of time, I think, until that happens. And when that happens, you'll see a lot of the options protocol getting benefiting from that, right? In a way. And yeah, right now, like the main issue from what I'm seeing personally is like the retail not understanding what they're getting into with options, right? It is complicated. There's like it is hard to make the UI understandable in a way that it's like super seamless and stuff like that, right? Compared to, for example, a perpetual where you're just like, okay, I press go, I'm long, I press go, and I'm short, right? So super simple. But the thing is, with options, you can have so much more composability where you can actually choose where you can actually make these bets that are more concentrated on the strategy that you have in mind, right? So if you believe something specifically will happen, you can bet on that specific scenario happening, and the more you're specific on that scenario, the less you're going to pay, right? Because you're concentrated, for example, on the spread, right? You're spreading, for example, a $10 spread at very far all the money. If that happens, and you paid like probably like a few pennies, like a half a penny, for example, for that position. When it does happen, you'll benefit like 10,000 times more than if you would just had a certain position, a long position, for example, right, or a spot position. So it just basically this tool that enables so much composability, and the missing factor is just retail understanding what it is, how you can use it, and how can and basically the protocol, how we can make it in a seamless manner where the user can just like come in and say, okay, I want to have this specific strategy, and it's all done seamlessly, like easier, right? The problem that we're facing is actually liquidity constraints, and that's like I believe it's all the options protocol that are facing the same problem with the options, because every single it's not like for example in TradFi where you can have these margin accounts. In DeFi, you actually have every single pool needs to be uh, collateralized. For example, you want to purchase a certain option with a certain expiry, that has to be collateralized. And these are all, if you're basically doing an order book, you're fragmenting all these pools, right? So there's a lot of fragmentation of liquidity over one asset compared to, for example, a DEX where they just fragment the liquidity over different assets, right? So yeah, like it's and that's one thing like a lot of us are facing, but I know we're gonna probably find we're, by the way, we're already like innovative. Like you guys are coming out with V3. We have Dopex V2 coming out. I would still like with the white paper is gonna probably be released pretty soon. So stay up to date for that. Follow the Dopex account. But yeah, like where the idea behind the whole concept of having that unified liquidity in a AMM format where you can just purchase any type of options that you want and close at any time, stuff like that, opens a lot of like it's a lot more seamless for the user. But then the problem becomes how to price these options correctly, right? These options are going to get priced correctly as the time comes and as the volumes starts flowing in, because with volume you can actually have bids and asks, and you can have these spreads basically be squeezed, and now you have these correct pricing for these fair pricing for options. So right now there's a lot of for example protocols doing price discovery, but the missing volume is it makes it hard for them to price it correctly, because there's no volume, right? There's no one betting for it. So maybe the liquidity provider is getting screwed in a way, or the buyer maybe is overpaying. You know what I mean? So in a way, like it is going to come. We're going to figure it out. There's a lot of different every protocol, option protocol is going their way, doing their own thing to find out. But these guys are very like smart people. These guys have a good financial background, and I'm sure like when you put like smart guys into something, they most likely gonna figure out something, and they're gonna make something happen at one point, right? So I'm very bullish for the future of options. So maybe did you guys have another question, guys? Maybe wanted go over
Yeah.
for this space. Yeah.
Just while we're on the topic of educational stuff, do you want to give us a little insight into the video series you guys are doing? Because I know that Dopex dropped like an educational video series on options.
Yeah, for sure. So we're doing like a video series, like I mentioned, we're really trying to tackle the learning curve of options head on, and we started at Dopex like really with our whole idea was like, okay, let's make this community as meme as possible, right? Like that's what attracts retail. So we've went through the Diamond Pepper route. We had fun. We have a bunch of fun with like in our Discord. People come on our Discord. They talk about cars. They talk about any type of things happening in their life, right? We really have an open community, a very cool community that where you can literally talk about anything, and I think that's a cool way to have when you have a community that you can just talk and ask questions about any type of things, or maybe even like talk about strategies, about things, maybe strategies that would be beneficial for them or stuff like that. Not financial advice, of course, but it's always cool to have like some second thoughts on that. We have this academy, like you guys, by the way, like we have Nutoro that dumps down like really on a very left curve level option stuff, and yeah, like we really try to tackle the complexity in a really fun way. That's the way we're trying to go about it, and actually that's how I learned at Dopex. So I've been at the beginning when I started Dopex, I had no financial background in it and nothing like that. So uh, for anybody that thinks like, oh, it's too complicated, I'm never gonna learn. I literally had a construction background, so I had no finance background. I was just like a DeFi degen having fun on chain, investing in Olympus like at a 70,000 APY, right? Like everybody else, and getting wrecked. But yeah, like just digging into stuff and writing articles. Sometimes like just by putting your head into like understanding the back end of something, or maybe just doing Google researches and stuff like that, things start to click, and as they click, you move on to the next thing. And then one thing leads to another thing. It's like a rabbit hole, right? And you keep digging, and at the end of the line you become like an expert. And this like it's a never ending type of thing that you can always learn and be better, right? So like I mentioned, these are, imagine you're in construction and you're about to like you're about to do a certain job, and you go either which do this job with your hands, or you either have this drill, you have all these different tools that can help you make the job better, right? And that's what options are, right? They're tools for financial traders to basically use and make a better bet on whatever they think is going to happen on a certain asset, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know, since you've been around for a while and you kind of touched on it with like Diamond Pepes and stuff, like Dopex's community has by far been one of the strongest like communities from the time you guys launched. How did Dopex kind of go about community building, and what are some things that you guys did to help kind of like form that bond and that group that you all have? Because like so many things have come out of that, like Diamond Pepes. Did Mithril come out too, or maybe that was just like a close kind of project? And then, you know, you have Plutus, Orbital, Jones, like so many things have kind of come out of the community. What do you think was like pivotal to forming that bond, and like kind of how did that start in the beginning?
Yeah, I think a lot comes from the team itself, because the team itself is actually from the community. Like if you think, like, I'm pretty sure like 9 out of 10 of the Dopex members are pretty much like were taken from the community. So I was part of the community at the beginning, and Dopex is actually what got me onto our Arbitrum. And I'm sure a lot of like even the users on Arbitrum today are guys that came onto Arbitrum because of Dopex. And I think it was like at the beginning it was just like, okay, Gigabrain stuff, options. Like a lot of people didn't understand what it was. It was just like a new financial tool. Like, okay, there's nothing like this on chain, so let me try these things out, right? And then it was mostly having a lot of participation in the community by the team, just on the Discord, just chatting with the community at all times, having these community calls, maybe then maybe like having Nutoro, right, our fake CEO on board to basically just be a meme, right? Because this guy literally shit posts on the Twitter daily, and that's literally what he does. But Yeah, it's just I think it's mostly just having that close connection with the community and at all times, right? Just having fun with them and learning things together and expanding together, right? And from that, like a lot of the community where like Dopex community, I would say they're really smart guys. Like they're not they like to act dumb, but at the same time they're very smart guys. And from that came out all these other protocols, right? That these guys wanted to build as well, right? They wanted to be builders, and yeah, they got together and by getting together, they formed these other protocols that are now a protocol of itself where they could run without Dopex themselves, right? So yeah, like we're extremely fond of our community and yeah, we appreciate them.
Yeah, it's really dope. Like I said, I've always like from the outside, I've always seen just how strong of a bond you all had, and ours took like a little bit longer to get there, and also yours formed around a frog. Ours happened to form around an owl. We had a dunce owl that we used to give out in the Discord. You were like late to one of the meetings or late to a call, and it started being worn by or used by so many people so frequently that other people wanted owls, and then the owl
Yeah.
became like the community like meme and mascot for Premia. But yeah, the community building has been like really cool, and now we have something we call the Parliament, where 10 members of the community have been elected, and they now kind of sit on a board, and we meet weekly to go over different proposal ideas and internal like structural things that they help out with. So we've brought them kind of into the fold a bit to be to work more closely with the team, and it's been going really well. We'll be dropping our first article on some advancements we've made on tokenomics, I believe tomorrow. So people will kind of get a taste of what the Parliament has been cooking behind the scenes.
Yeah, so that's what you actually need, right? Like these guys are basically your hardcore users, right? And they have, I think they have the right to always be like have a say in a way. Like their feedback is always like very appreciated. That's like one of the most important things, getting the feedback from the community and understanding what the pain points are and evaluating from there, right? So these things are very important, and I feel like sometimes the stupidest things, like like a diamond pepper or maybe the owl, right, are like little things, but it's appreciated by the community, and that's something that yeah, it's gonna make your protocol thrive in a way, right?
Yeah.
And then for sure, like now in the bear market, like you as a protocol, you feel bad a bit because like everything's going down, the prices are going down, sentiment goes away, and the community is like a bit less like there's less people speaking on Discord, stuff like
Less,
that, right? Um, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was saying less excitement. Yeah, I was just chiming in saying, yeah, there's less
Yeah,
excitement when all that's going on. So like
yeah, exactly.
you need a catalyst to like keep everyone kind of rallied around outside of just like price and development, because like the diehards are always bullish on development, but like price has a big impact on morale. So having these fun memes like diamond pepes or owls, we had like all our diehard members, we have like petting stickers for, or petting emojis for. So like when they'd say GM, we'd pet them hello. Uh, like funny stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
it definitely makes the bear market a bit more enjoyable to have people to be able to talk about cars, food, travel, stuff like that that are also diehards about the things you're building. DK, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I just walked in the door. I had to run an errand real quick, but
Good. We're just
Jim,
chatting.
Jim.
what
We chopped it up a little bit about future stuff, but we were talking on community a bit.
yeah, I jumped in right around community.
Is that something you'd like to chime in or what?
No, I'm just saying I came in at the same time. Yeah, I think that while we were kind of building out like core products, we were doing our best on the community side. And then we kind of pivoted to more like formal engagement and participation around community right around the beginning of the year. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming, but we feel like we're mature enough to actually start like implementing some of the governance aspects that we had planned. It's just that we wanted to get like core product out first, and now that we're happy with Premia Blue being pretty future proof in our mind, that there's no like real there's only really incremental changes, not like a whole overhaul. We're happy to start incorporating more formal elements.
And let's say after you guys have your V3 out, right? Is there already something like in you guys' mind? Like, what are you guys gonna do after? Is that like us? What the way we go about it is like we always have like even after like 5 releases, we already know what's next, right? What about you guys? Do you guys have like this? Do you guys prepare your pipelines, or do you guys go about it like on the fly, right?
Nah, so yeah, I can give some more color on that.
DK's got like 2 years of prints lined up.
Yeah, what we have margin scheduled for towards the end of summer. So it's gonna be isolated margin. So the spec of that is completely done. We just need to get the smart contracts and front end designs and stuff like that ready. However, we are also going to have like constant engagement with an economic auditor. So like that, obviously with like margin and lending, you need to have constant parameterization changes. And so getting that flow like pretty locked in. And then we're going to be pivoting to the portfolio margin or cross margin. However, we have some ideas on things regarding what we can use the front end team for. In the meantime, we got some ideas and we got some sites on potentially a mobile app. However, obviously our space is quite regulated and restricted. However, it won't be solely options related, but we got some good ideas there. And then I can give some more like just general ethos of how we've kind of tackled things over the last two plus years. Is all right. Web3 is here to stay. Obviously, we've all like dedicated our careers to it. One of the fundamental elements of Web3 is the economic elements, right? Whether that be on the creator side, whether that be on the financial side, regardless of where Web3 is, there's economic is core. And so you kind of started with tackling some of the most complex products in financial and economic markets. And so we're kind of ready to expand upon the product suite outside of options that are complementary. And so that's kind of like what the next vision is. We've already had some talks with some other groups, whether that's through like an acqui-hire, whether that's through completely built in-house. We got a few different paths that we're kind of traversing on right now, but more to come on that later.
Any alpha to leak?
No alpha to leak.
I was gonna ask, do you guys? I mean, you guys are touching. So you guys are gonna go start digging into cross margin and accounts. How will that look? Like, what type of cross margin are we looking at?
Yeah, so our margin model at the core has implied volatility as a part of it, right? So for the assets that are used as collateral in the margin maintenance flows, we are bringing an IVOL to actually, dictate what your margin levels should be, right? So it's not strictly price. It's also the volatility of the asset that you're using as collateral. And so that's how we're thinking about things at first. It's going to be straight isolated. So you come in, it's not going to be like high amounts of leverage by any means. You come in, let's say you post 50% collateral, and then you can borrow the rest from a lending pool, and then you can underwrite options with that, right? For example. So in that example, let's say I deposit $1,500 in USDC, and then I want to borrow some additional USDC to sell puts. We'll borrow that and then fully collateralize it at the base layer, and then we'll have liquidation engines and margin maintenance and stuff like that. However, to really unlock like capital efficiency, like you have to have integration with a One Delta product. And so whether we build that One Delta product in-house, or whether we start using some like ecosystem partners on the Arbitrum, on the Arbitrum space, no alpha leak, but that's kind of where we're looking as we continue to invest time and resourcing into margin is that to really have a mature market, you have to have that for your traders, and you also have to have like proper payout schedules. So like if you need full collateralization and you're selling like both sides, the payoff is like limited and the max amount that it can be lost, then you only should have to collateralize the max amount that can be lost. You shouldn't have to collateralize full on the call side, full on the put side, because it's not capital efficient. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. There's some really cool stuff in account abstraction and how that's going to be utilized. I think not enough DeFi protocols are spending enough time on account abstraction, but we have like a whole plan on that and how that integrates to our margin system and how we can do multi-function transactions, and how we can abstract out some of the Web3 stuff like regularly signing transactions, the token approvals, stuff like that. If we can abstract out, that is kind of going to be our medium focus as we start to roll out margin.
Okay, cool. So you guys are gonna have like an on the site, like for example, wallet or whatever, where you can just add funds, and from there, like you can have cross margining and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Very cool, very cool. So we actually tackled as well the margin type of account, but we went a little bit of a different route, and this was like through our whole Atlantics product thing, and the way we went about it was like, okay, so we have these options that are fully collateralized, and the capital within it is like inefficient because it's just staying inside this contract until the expiry of the option. But what can we do with this collateral? What if we use it like in neutral, for example, neutral ways? So our SSOVs, that's like what we were trying to solve with our SSOVs. So what we did is like we took while the options was selling, you took the collateral, you would deposit inside a single staking farm where there was like no risk for the collateral except like smart contract risk, of course. But then we thought about it like, what if we can actually do like margin accounts, like for example, if we partner with GMX or any perpetual protocol or CDP or these Lightning platforms, where you can essentially have the collateral within it be liquidation protection, right? So you're basically leveraging on a certain platform, and that platform has a liquidation price, right? So if you purchase these out the money options above the liquidation price, that basically makes you neutral, right? Because when you go under the put price, you basically are, let's say you're 5 long, then you purchase 5 puts over the liquidation price. Then what happens is that under that put, you're basically 5 short as well, right? So you're 5 long, 5 short. Now you're neutral, right? So you can actually take the collateral within your option and deposit it there until the expiry. But all this would have to be done in a gated contract where users wouldn't have access, right? So this is where we actually started like contacting, for example, GMX, and we've introduced this product to them. And for sure, like GMX, like super, like they're super huge and they're always like occupied. They have a bunch of things going on their end. It's hard to partner with them, but yeah, like this is one of our products that we thought that, and we still think that it could gain a lot of traction, because like when we were in the bull market, there was all these de-escalation. For example, Abracadabra, when they had like 150, was it $1 million NTVL or whatever. Yeah, like you saw all these liquidations happen constantly. That was like literally they were accruing bad debt and all these things, right? Like through a product like this, you could actually prevent that, because you have these put sellers, sorry, that are willing to purchase the asset at a certain price as they go down, right? And they're getting yield for putting that basically for putting their collateral there, right? They gain a yield until the price goes over, and then if it's physically settled, they actually get the assets itself, right? But yeah, like we tackled that, and it actually worked. So it was a very cool product, but we only released in beta, and we're probably gonna, once our Dopex V2 comes out, we're probably going to start expanding on that. But it's cool to see that other protocols are finding other ways to go around this, right? For example, what you guys are doing, right? And yeah, like I think the future of DeFi is for sure is going to be like something that looks like a lot of cross margining across a lot of protocols, and I think a lot of protocols are going to have to work together to have these things be able to be done, right? For example, you guys are doing options. Maybe you guys are going to want to cross margin at one point with a lending protocol or something like that, right? It would be cool to see these partnerships happen, and more of a unifying of DeFi, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Cross protocol is going to be the solution, I think, in a lot of the margin space. And if you don't adapt to that, like you'll definitely die. I think, especially in the next like 6 to 18 months, with like everything moving so fast. Everything's moving slow in price action, I think that on the dev side of things, like there are a lot of like new primitives and stuff that are coming up pretty fast, and if you're not adapting, like you'll get left behind for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how things are moving fast. Like you see, like the protocols popping left and right. The arbitrage, like there's a new protocol, like at least 5 new protocols every week with new concepts and stuff like that. Even in options, like just options itself, like every single protocol. Like you guys are doing your V3, we're doing our V2. There's Panoptics coming out. There's Lyra with I think Lyra is doing like a. I don't remember exactly what their product was called, but they're doing a new thing over there as well. So everybody is doing their own thing. GMX now soon with V2, right? So a lot of like the users are that are bearish right now. It's crazy seeing like now is like a good time I'd say to buy because the volumes are just like slowly draining away. Liquidity is like slowly drying out, and and yeah, you have all this innovation happening in the space, right? And with innovation, there's expectations through like devs like investments and all these firms putting money, right? And a lot of people, a lot of users, they're like, okay, the price is down only right now, right? But you have to consider that the way liquidity works is that let's say you have a certain amount, $1 million liquidity, it's so easy to actually move the price down of a certain protocol that has all their tokens distributed, for example, right? Because not all the tokens are providing liquidity, right? So you could have the liquidity be drained like so fast and put the price so fast to lower prices where they don't even make sense anymore, where there's even protocols trading under their treasury value. And I find that like if you guys invest in a company in a protocol, I would say is because right now I would say like don't start trading it, right? Like liquidity is super thin, just hold it, and if you have actual conviction over it, then you shouldn't be this is not financial advice. I don't want to get censored, but yeah, just do never mind what I just said. Let's ignore what I just said.
We'll edit out those 15 seconds before it goes through. But like I get your point. Like right now, it's like you look at all the things that are happening around on the development side, and you know, if you believe that the world is just going digital, even then it's possibly a time where you can make conviction bets rather than looking for high quality trades. Yeah. One thing that, you know, as we were talking about new primitives and stuff, you guys shortly ago released your Zero DTE product. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter lately about Zero DTE. Can you tell us a bit about how you guys are approaching Zero DTE for options on your platform and what assets you're offering that for?
So we are offering 0 date options on Ethereum. Do we have it on our? We might have it on our. Sorry. Not always up to date with the whole product line. We have a lot of products, but yeah, like the way they work on the back end is that instead, usually when you provide liquidity, like I mentioned, was always a problem for us and for a lot of the options protocol. So the way we went about it was like, what if we instead of providing one Ethereum for one call option, what if we do spreads? What if we do these spreads for Ethereum or for 0 date options that are basically very short options, right? Could be they're 1 day and under. What if you instead you do a spread? So let's say Ethereum is 1900 and you do a spread from 1900 to $2,000. So by doing the spread, you actually know the payoff, the maximum payoff that you can receive at the end of even if it goes to 2,500, right? The maximum you can have from that $100 spread is $100, right? So instead, with that same Ethereum that you would deposit usually in a normal vault to basically an option for Ethereum, for example, you can actually sell 20 call options because now it's like. And when you like actually see it like on a more in-depth level, you can think of it like, almost like a concentrated liquidity type of Uni V3, right? Because let's say you deposit that same $2,000 inside that spread of $100, and it actually goes to $2,000. You actually lost your $2,000, right? Comparatively to if you deposit one Ethereum into one call option and it goes to $2,000, your loss was $100, but you still have your $2,000. You have basically your 1,900 plus whatever it gained minus the PNL, right? But the whole idea is that it's like a concentrated type of a product that we did, and it allows for a lot more volume because they're very short term, and it allows for a lot more capital efficiency. But this capital efficiency comes at the cost of basically the concentration, where you make, yes, you make more premiums, but you're more exposed to these options, right? So you're selling more, but you're selling more with the same liquidity basically. So as $1 for example, $1 in the money moves, you actually lose $20, right? But you gain 20 times more the premiums, right? So they're more of a conviction type of a product where you can actually make these concentrated bets, right?
High risk, high reward, short term concentrated bets.
Exactly. But it's a very cool product, like for LPs. And like if you guys like UniV3, which is like it popped off because it's just more efficient, right? This is more efficient. You can think of it the same way, right? It's more efficient on your capital, but you got to know what you're doing. And yeah, like I don't want uh just get informed, like read the academy and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, options are a very important tool in your tool belt that you can use and make good sums of money if you know what you're doing, right? And once you learn them, you can use these tools to basically make these concentrated bets the same way you would by providing liquidity on the UniV3. And you're in this space. If you're in this space, is because you're actually exploring these tools, right? You're exploring how to provide liquidity, for a protocol and gain these yields from liquidity farming, or maybe you're doing lending, you're lending out your token, stuff like that. So every one of these tools are like specific. Yes, you can do them in TradFi, but DeFi allows you to do them in a specific way through a wallet. Very seamless, very user friendly, I would say. I really like. I've loved being in DeFi in the past 2 years, and yeah, like I think learning these tools would be something great for anybody that's in DeFi, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think stuff like that is like fun for degens. You know, like it's something that people can it's more of like a game to play around with, right? Like when you're doing these short dated high risk, high reward bets. So it's very like built for degens.
Yeah, I mean that's what DeFi is, so you can say, right? I mean, but yeah, like it doesn't mean that even if you're not a degen, there's ways to play it and take low risk. I mean, there's always risk. There's nothing with no risk, right? In DeFi or in anything for that matter. But yeah, like you can put the chances on your side, and maybe do a conviction bet, and it actually pays off, right?
Yeah, I love it. We're coming up on time. We got about 2 minutes left. Is there anything that you want to plug before we wrap things up? I know you mentioned V2. You've got a trading competition coming up. Do you want to give any more details on V2 or the trading comp?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of things coming up. Like we have RDPX V2 that people have been waiting for a year and a half almost. So that's going to be a big release. We're in the audit right now, so that's in the late stage of the audit. We're almost there. So really happy for that. Except that we have Dopex V2 is coming out a bit later. So all I would say is like go follow the Dopex Twitter account. Come on our Discord. We can have like a bunch of fun. We can have some chats. We can talk about strategies and stuff. And yeah, looking forward to having you guys there. And by the way, Premia, thanks for this space. I think it was super informative for anybody that would like to learn more on options. And yeah, like we can always like have these little type of spaces or just having conversations like that. If ever you guys want to build something together, we can always discuss these things, right? Cool to see two in quotes competitors just come together and actually decide to just bring the space together up, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like, we've synced with and had chats with the other protocols like within your ecosystem with Plutus about working together with Jones, with Orbital. So I definitely see like synergies within like the products that Dopex has put out and the other products that are within your ecosystem. So yeah, I look forward to like us being able to build some stuff together or work together in some capacity, especially hopping on more spaces, doing stuff like this. I think it's great. Ksenia's done get hats off to her organizing this type of stuff. But like I was saying in the beginning, like I just really want to get together with more big brains in the option space, talk about pricing, talk about ways we're attacking these different problems that we're all facing, and help educate more people so that they're more comfortable coming on to use the platforms.
Definitely. Well said. I think we can end it on that note.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hopping in, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the Discord. Ciao, guys.
Yep. Thanks again, KB, for organizing the very first collaborative options chat. Have a nice weekend.